We are here, Wendell. We are here.
Where? Where are we?
The hype has been so extreme you could cut a knife through it. There was people on Twitter asking me, when are you going to talk about it? Oh, my God.
Chicago. Wait, what?
No.
Wait. Oh, sorry.
Too early. A couple months
I'm still
early.
sleepy, man. Still jet lagged.
Yeah. We are here. It is San Diego Comic-Con 2018.
Ah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and the news this morning has been brutal.
Too much.
To say the least.
So much.
Too much. So I decided what we're going to do, because there's so much news and there's so much to talk about each individual thing, because there's so much. So much has been dropped in our laps this morning from multiple different sources,
Which is
from different people.
One thing I find is very funny is, like, before TFCon, it's like, oh, here's a little teaser about what's going to happen at San Diego Comic-Con, just a little silhouette. And then, bleh.
Yeah, well, not only a bleh, but a bleh from like every possible
source,
walk of life of this brand, from a movie source, from mainline, from the generation stuff and sublines, video games, T-shirts, like just everything has just been, for lack of better words, vomited out at us at one shot. I just want to say that, like, I'm going to try to get as many segments out as possible. We're not going to do just a one-a-day segment, because there just is so much.
The news is thick, people. Like ragu.
So I promise you I'm going to try to be rapid-firing this as much as possible. And if you hear in the background me clicking or typing, it's because as I'm speaking, there's just so much happening.
Exactly.
There's just like, as I'm talking, there's people messaging me going, hey, here's this, that. There's just so much going on. So, that being said, let us start with the first thing. Let's move forward and let's talk about Transformers Generations, War for Cybertron, Siege. That's part of the new Prime Wars Trilogy. More specifically, we're going to talk about, in these different segments, let's talk about first the leader class that we have revealed here. So we have Ultra Magnus. Now, this Magnus that we've gotten, I mean, I'm telling you right now, the second I looked at it, I was like, here is the natural progression of what happens with mainline non-masterpiece releases. For the longest time, the pursuit for having that perfect Magnus in a mainline, ignoring, again, masterpiece and third party, has been long and hard. We had White Optimus Primes, and then City Commander came to make your White Optimus Prime from classics have that Magnus armor. And then later on, through Combiner Wars, we got a leader class, Ultra Magnus, but it was more based in what the IDW Comics was doing with Minimus Ambus. Spoiler, if you don't know at this point, I mean, really. This is something that is very in tune with what a 1986 Ultra Magnus is. And even more so, what makes a lot of people happy is the fact that not only is it an Ultra Magnus that transforms and everything and looks like a very 1986 movie Ultra Magnus Fluoro Deary design, but it also has a separate cab / Magnus White Optimus Prime, and the cab actually makes the armor.
Yeah. Which I was surprised about when I saw it. Like when I first came up on it, I was just like, oh, okay, so it's another Ultra Magnus. And then looking through the pictures now, I was just like, wait, what? It's, armor again? That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, again, as I was saying before, the progression of news as it went throughout the day as we were speaking. First, we had the breakfast photos, and we just saw the Magnus in the wild. Then there was, rumors that, from different Hasbro guys at the breakfast saying, oh, did you know it actually is an armor and stuff? And then as it progressed, and then the photos at the Hasbro panel, which then there was just, photos from, a photo of a photo, like someone taking a photo at the panel and then having that. Now we have the official images and stuff like that. But there was some interesting Hasbro designer notes that were mentioned. And I just want to bring these up for people who are obviously listening to the podcast. And usually what I try to do is accompany with images and stuff so you could understand what I'm talking about as we speak along, so to speak. The Leader Class Ultra Magnus, according to John Warden here, they were actually going for a Robots in Disguise car robots inspired design.
Nice.
he mentions when you look at the front grille of the white Ultra Magnus, it's very similar to that of God Magnus, aka Ultra Magnus from Robots in Disguise. And when he mentioned that right away, I was like, oh wow, how did I miss that? But it's very apparent. Same thing with the way that the trailer itself is. The design of the back piece, which is called a Magnus, a Magnus trailer. The way that these spokes are on the side of the blue and everything is again more indicative of car robots than it is even of the original Ultra Magnus.
You're talking about the gray spokes on the side?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the use of the reds. So there's a lot of, even though this is a G1 Ultra Magnus, there's a lot of his original, well, not his original, but his cousin character, if you will, because God Magnus technically wasn't Ultra Magnus. It was just what they called him when they brought him over here.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, too, that hasn't been shown but has been mentioned is that his wheels actually fold in and make a hover mode to keep that Cybertronian aspect if need be.
Okay.
So he does have rolling wheels, but they actually slide to become hover wheels if needed. Like a la Back to the Future DeLorean, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool extra feature that it possesses also. Of course, like I mentioned before, the trailer parts do become an armor. And, of course, another thing that's cool, too, is the gun is very indicative of the original G1 Ultra Magnus gun, although it's not a unilateral gun, meaning you hold it one way and it's for the small robot, you hold it another way, it's for the larger robot. But everything else looks like it's pretty much hitting it out of the park here. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on. That Ultra Magnus itself, even though it has a lot of aspects of the Generation 1, cab Optimus Prime design, it still has its own unique look in a lot of ways. And it still has a very Cybertronian kind of look if it needs to be. And again, by having those hover wheels, it's like, yeah, it could be your G1 Optimus Prime, but if you fold in those hover wheels, this could also be interpreted as, if you want to, as, say, a traditional, Cybertronian floating car kind of thing.
Well, one thing I'm also noticing is that this particular Ultra Magnus, just without the armor, the white, if you don't want me jumping to that real quick.
Go ahead.
The way it looks, to me, it looks a lot like Classics Optimus Prime. In the sense that, like, the front cab, you have, like, the glass that goes right across. And I don't know, I'm getting that vibe, silhouette-ish vibe from him, where the way the shins look and all that.
Classics Prime was really, how do we redesign these classic designs into something a little more modern?
But specifically, I'm talking about like Chug Classics
Prime.
Yeah.
The very first, the 2006 release, Target exclusive specifically. Color-wise, it's right down to the original G1 Prime. Same thing with what Dreamwave did when it was touching up, say, like little details and stuff like that. But this is incredible. It's a nice fusion of two iterations of the character, obviously heavy more on the G1, but also with a lot of the flavor of the original car robot design of God Magnus. This is incredible. This is really, really good. I'll just mention this now. We're going to talk about it more later, but he also is compatible with a lot of the other gimmicks of the line. All the little accessories and everything that pop up here and there that are going to be attachable to him, and there's tons of videos of it. But we'll get into those when we get into those specific accessories and what they do. But he's a very good centerpiece, and he's going to be available, according to this, Wave 1 with Optimus Prime. So this is really awesome. A lot of people are excited about this. They're already now looking at their older Ultra Magnus toys. I know what's going to be a charity auction next year.
No.
Yeah, oh man, I'm telling you.
I still like the last offering of Ultra Mag. This is really cool, and the fact that they're homaging older designs, I think, is really and their heads. I feel their heads and hearts are in the right place on this one. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot. I like that they recognize car robots for inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, we could just do a straight up G1 Ultra Magnus, but why don't we add a little bit of the characters name history.
Yeah, exactly.
In there too. So it's not 100%. And when you do something like that, at least it makes it a little different.
Yeah, and that toy was pretty awesome too. I'll give.
And well, especially
very
when you
awesome.
look from
not pretty awesome.
when you look from an official release history of Ultra Magnus of that specific like design, it's like you go, okay, there was the Masterpiece toy by Takara, and what I mean by that is the one that's a self-contained transforming one. And then you had, like, let's say the Titanium 6-inch, which again was a self-contained transforming one, no white Optimus Prime on the inside. Yeah. It really doesn't harken back until we look at like the fusion of City Commander and that original Classics one. Did we get what fans really wanted? The Combiner Wars one really, even though it was Ultra Magnus and it was a leader class, it really was its own thing because of the IDW's continuity and how it explains that character.
Yeah.
So this is really the first time in a very long time that we've gotten a modern interpretation of this original character as people have wanted it to be. Again, that Masterpiece toy that came out, and I'm not referring to just the straight white Optimus Prime MPO1 repaint. I think it was MPO2, excuse me. MPO2M? I don't know. I'm somewhere around that. But the point is that when that one came out, that's one thing. But when they did the straight up Masterpiece, Ultra Magnus with the armor and everything, people were happy, but they still wanted it that it could separate and make the smaller robot, and they didn't offer that. This is finally going to satiate the appetite of a lot of G1 collectors that wanted to have that true official blessing from Hasbro, Takara, Ultra Magnus with his armor, with his cab, with his gun. This gives everything what people wanted. Is it 100% G1 accurate? No, that's not what it's aiming to do here. But this is a good evolution of what already was the Classics line to begin with, modern interpretations of classic characters while still trying to be as close as you can to the original design. And I dig this a lot. It's going to be an expensive release. According to also what they said here, a lot of the price points are going to be up some bucks, which is going to kind of suck. Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. They were saying that Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus are some of the most articulated Transformer toys in retail in a long time. So it means that there's a lot of more parts and pieces. I think that the increase in price might have to do with the fact that some of the previous waves of Transformer toys from the generations were kind of hollow figures. Yeah, it was kind of a product of just the problems that have been happening with plastic prices. We had this discussion with the ever popular video that we did. Our Transformer toys are too expensive. But I mean, it sounds like here they
found the balance probably right now. I think
they're trying to find a way to make fans happy and feel that the product is worth the price, but they might have to increase it a few bucks to be able to close that gap. And that work.
I'm trying to remember. I remember I made a car robot. I think I made a car robots reference in our last episode about how a figure it kind of had a. Oh, that was it. We were talking about the third party stuff and the Rolling Thunder by what was it? I think it was TFC, if I remember right.
It was probably TFC.
Yeah, and I was talking
KFC
or TFC, however they're going.
One or the other. We apologize. If we're
TFC,
wrong.
I think. And we were talking about how the Rolling Thunder, the trailer or the back end adds on to the Optimus Prime to make like a power armor. So so the fact that we're getting official stuff where the Ultra Magnus does the power armor and it's homaging Robots in Disguise is pretty cool too. Just to bring back Robots in Disguise again.
And also, like, I mean, if you look at the figure, the photos of the two of these here, and you look how Ultra Magnus has the armor on. I mean, anyone who's handled the original Ultra Magnus G1 toy, it really was one solid piece that kind of attached. This adds more together, like a power armor, like a car robots, where it's
like a car robots, like a City Commander. Again, like they're playing with that power armor that we just
more
saw.
Specifically,
that we just saw in Power of the Primes, basically.
Yeah, well, more specifically, the way I look at this one here, like anyone who's messed with car robots / Robots in Disguise Optimus Prime.
Oh, so good.
I'm seeing a lot of similarities of how the pieces attach here, so I see what they're saying, how they're channeling a lot of that from an engineering standpoint.
Exactly, that's what I'm bringing up too.
If you're going to be aping one line, that's one hell of a line to be aping. So that was a real good turning point in engineering for Transformers.
Yep.
So if you're gonna be going to a line to steal water from the well, that is one well to go to. So, but yeah, Ultra Magnus, awesome stuff.